Hey everyone, welcome to Opal's June webinar. In this webinar, we're going to be going through our month in review. Today, we have Shelley, who's our product manager leading a lot of the integrations flows and our data products and our AI core products as well. And then I'm Grant. I am a lead PM working on sort of our core customer workflows and our APIs that exist in our product. And we're really excited to share with all of you all the great things that have been happening in June and all of the stuff that's going to be upcoming in July and August as we look forward to the exciting things our team is going to be building out. So I'm going to be walking you through the presentation. Shelley and I will be alternating on different slides based on our product areas. And yeah, Shelley, if you could let anybody in that requests to join. Looks like we have a customer that's joining in just now, that would be awesome. And then we can go ahead and kick it off. Actually, I'll go ahead and let them in.
Okay.
Cool. Hey, Patrick, welcome. It's good to see you joining today. We're going to be going through some of our month in review for June and then also what's coming up in July. And this is a recorded webinar, and we usually just invite all of our customers here, and then we forward out the recording and the afterward, and people typically view then. But we're really excited to have you here today, and also Sarah and Shelley too.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Cool. So getting into it, our agenda for today, we already went through the introductions on the Opal side. We're also going to be walking through some of the special topics of what released in June. So we'll have the CLI, the new CLI request flow we built out. We'll have the AI beta. So this is an opt-in beta for all of our existing customers, and they can choose whether or not their environment is ready, and their company, frankly, is ready to adopt AI features. And then we'll go over some new admin capabilities around being able to scope permissions. And then we'll introduce some of our tagging features for AI agents. And then what's coming up next in July and beyond is we have some updates that are coming in Risk Center around the ability to visualize and navigate your environment. And then Shelley, I think you can cover the rest of the items there.
Sounds great.
Cool. So yes, this is our recent highlights. We're really excited to announce we have our AI beta that is opening up this week. And so essentially the two features that are going to be included this time around are going to be first off our AI assisted request flow. And so I'm going to go ahead and show a demo. Most likely, not this Okta group might not work. Okay, we'll go with a Google group. One moment. Here, let me switch environments. Perfect. This one should work. So I'm selecting a role in Google Cloud. I'm going to request access to it. And I'm actually, going to give a bad reason. So I'm going to say, just to test, right? It doesn't give any context about the time frame or sort of other factors that may be required here. And the AI is actually going to break it down, right? So AI is going to look at the request that's the justification for access that's filled out. It's going to evaluate that reason in real time, and it's going to give coaching to the end user on the right type of justification to give. So you'll sort of see a real-time adjustment in terms of the feedback. So I'm going to get frustrated. I'm going to be a user who's just like copy and pasting the same thing. Maybe I'm doing that just to bypass like a minimum text requirement that our team requires, or something similar. And what is our AI going to say? Well, actually, you're just repeating the same thing over and over again. This isn't a good reason. And so the user is not blocked from submitting the request. At this point in time, we don't want to prevent people from getting access purely based on the justification. That's more the approver's job. So when the approver looks at this request, they'll be the one to decide whether or not it's high quality enough for approval. You can sort of see what a good reason might look like here. And you should see the window disappear because I need this for 2 months to onboard a new data platform. that I am collaborating with the internal development tools team on. And hopefully, the AI powers that be, deem it high quality, and there you go. So in this case, right, it's time bound. So I'm sort of explaining why I need it for the period that I need it, or rather even what the time period is. I'm also saying who I'm going to be collaborating with and what the work will be related to. So now when it comes time for an approver or a UAR reviewer to come back and review this request, they'll have all the information they need to decide, was that, why did Grant have access? Does he still need access? And so on. And so moving on here to our next demo that we're going to be running through quickly, we have scoped admin roles. So this is a little bit different from what I was just speaking to with AI, our AI capabilities. It's a separate feature. This is around building out more fine-grained capabilities for you to delegate authority to within Opal. So let's say you have, multiple business units at your company or multiple teams using Opal. With sort of our new scoped admin roles, you're going to be able to go through your Opal app, and you're going to be able to create custom roles. And you can choose one of our pre-built templates, right? Today we have, super admin, we have read-only admin, we have request globally, and we have auditor. And you're going to be able to build your own custom roles or iterate on the ones that already exist. And so in this case, you can look through defining your role by native apps. You can define it by resources, groups, users, or even bundles. So in this case, right, let's say we want to give somebody admin access to an entire application. And in this case, we could say for anyone that's in our, or the person who has access to this role will have authority over our entire AWS organization. And so specifically here, maybe we've already set up our super admin capabilities. And really what we're looking for is just to help for owners to help us tag. And so to that end, I don't necessarily want people in charge of tagging to be, adding or removing people from the group. I might not want them to be importing new systems. So rather than making them this admin over, everything in the AWS organization domain, I can fine tune what they have access to just this one permission. Or I could do multiple if I desired, but for this case, I think we just want to show tagging. And I also need to fill out sort of a role name. So for this, we'll call it, AWS organization taggers. And then for the description, maybe we can ask AI to help us out here. So I'll go ahead and ask AI to help us generate a description. And yeah, it breaks down specifically what the connection is, the fact that it's read only. So, that may not be immediately obvious here, but the fact that all of these are unchecked means that, they're only going to be able to view this piece while only editing tags. And so this is an exciting way to just sort of like pre-populate the description for this role. And then I can go ahead and click save once I've chosen an admin. And so in this case, I think a database admin might make sense, right? And so we'll go ahead and click save. And we should see that, yes, this is the group here, AWS organization taggers. And if I go back to Opal, I should see it as a role that is now requestable. So here, this is exists exactly the same way other resources or groups within Opal do, except this time it's just an Opal role. You can go in and you can see who has access to it or not. I can add Shelley to this directly, or I can go in and I can configure an approval flow for this role, just like I normally would with any other Opal asset that I've onboarded. And so it's really no different once you've created it. And then once somebody has access to here, they'll only be able to tag AWS resources and nothing else implicitly from that. So this is a capability we're really excited to roll out to customers that might have acquired another business recently, or maybe there's multiple teams working on the project and you want to scope some functionality to the security team and some functionality to the IT team. There's a lot of different ways that an organization might have a use case of breaking this down. And we're really excited because it does tend to serve all of those based on the customer feedback we've gotten. So really excited to roll that out. Yeah, we definitely look forward to getting the feedback on this one. Up next, we have Shelley here who can go ahead and take over our demo. Shelley, would you like to share your screen so you can sort of walk through in product what this looks like?
Yep, sounds great. I'll go ahead and take over now. Hey. Yeah, thanks for that overview, Grant, of all the AI features that we've been shipping. It's super exciting to see the product sort of progress and grow over time. A quick recap. So in last month's webinar, in addition to the items that Grant already mentioned, I just wanted to highlight we did demo our MCP server, allowing you to hook up multiple large language models or agents to interact directly with Opal. I had also shared a bit around our ability to highlight risks and remediation for non-humans as well as human identities. So today I kind of wanted to tie those pieces together and extend that conversation to a broader theme around agentic identities. Many of you listeners right now, that's top of mind. And so definitely on the Opal side, we want to be able to address that. So we're constantly thinking about the identity attack surfaces that our customers are facing. So as many of you have started adopting more of those AI workflows and AI tools, we're also seeing more concerns around how to manage access for these agents, as well as scope these agents' permissions to critical systems. So that's a huge use case in itself. But the first problem to really solve here is understanding how your organization defines an agent. Some folks will use naming conventions, others might use attributes that are coming from their upstream directory systems. On the Opal side, because we are a central hub for all these identity directories, we want to give you a way to self-service marking identities as agents through our flexible tagging system. So I'll go ahead and just jump into our demo environment of what this looks like. So hypothetically, you're an admin looking at your inventory and you might think, hey, I want to understand where all my agents are or which of my users are actually bots or agents. So you might naively at first go to say, hey, I noticed that there are a couple of users here who have agent in their names. I think Nathan agent is probably an agent. Same for if I go to bot, I'll notice that, hey, I noticed an Anthropic bot that kind of seems agentic. And so from there, what we do allow you to do is create tags, right? And so here you can create a very simple key value tag. For the purposes of this demo, I've already gone and created an agent tag, and you can associate to various users just the way you can associate them to resources and groups. So here, you can see that I've gone ahead and tagged the support agent bot, the Anthropic bot, as well as the Nathan agent bot with this agent tag. And so what this looks like from the user perspective or the agent perspective in the identity inventory is you'll see the agent tag associated with it. And furthermore, you can also filter for these types of identities and their risks within the risk center, very similar to kind of what we walked through with the non-human identities last month. So if you just go here, you can go filter by at the tag agent, and now you'll be able to see sort of all of your agentic identities here that you've already marked and the associated risks and vulnerabilities that Opal has surfaced to you. In this example, we're surfacing to you that the Anthropic bot has permanent access to test repo. As someone who's potentially looking at this risk center and evaluating, hey, is this normal? Is this not? You might decide, oh, it's normal. We do want Anthropic or Claude or some of these agent tech systems to be able to have permanent access to test repo. So you can have the option here to go and dismiss or if you do think it is anomalous, you can go ahead and revoke or expire their access. So I'm going to zoom out really quickly. So from there, you have full visibility into what these agentic identities have access to, just like you can with the rest of your Opal identities today. And so to really summarize here, the self-service approach is a first step into allowing you to define agents relative to your other identities via tags. It'll allow you to gain visibility into their access paths and remediate these risky paths as well. In the next few months, we do want to help you intelligently detect identities based on various entity traits and behavioral data so that you can take both a self-service approach to tagging these agents in your systems, as well as use Opal to sort of proactively detect some of these identities. this is definitely an up and coming space. And as you see more use cases crop up in your own environments, we'd love to hear more about them. We'd love to design partner with you to kind of see, how you view these agentic systems, what risks you see associated with them, and how Opal can really help you in your security workflows here. I'll go ahead and stop sharing and hand it back over to you, Grant.
Awesome. And I just want to touch on one note here. I know that I mentioned that our AI features are in an opt-in beta, so you have to opt in to get access to them. I think that's more around AI features that are using your data, to sort of add value to your system. So for example, an LLM running in your environment. Shelley, could you confirm that, the agent tagging and the MCP sort of server functionality are separate from that beta?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, it's just, an advanced form of tagging in the case of the AI agent piece. So there's no sort of training going on your data or anything like that unless you've explicitly opted in. And similarly for the MCP server, that's just functionality that's open for you to use. There's nothing sort of being trained on your data in either of those cases. So just wanted to make that super clear for anybody listening, and we'll jump into our regular demo. Cool. So the next feature here we want to highlight for you all is the improvement to Opal's CLI interface. So one of our number one use cases for CLI today is to connect to cloud applications. So, one example is through AWS, users can assume roles and sort of get access to their AWS environment through Opal CLI directly. And in this case, we've added on to that functionality to sort of allow developers to request access to any system that Opal sort of offers or that's been imported to Opal. And you can see a little bit about what that looks like here. So it might take a little bit to crisp up there we go. Oops. There we go. So what you can see essentially right now is the users navigating through applications, they're navigating through resources. Now they're providing a justification for why they need access, and then they're going to set their time bound. So it's just like an ordinary access request that somebody would create in Opal, except it's mediated by our CLI interface, command line interface, rather than through Opal's graphical user interface. So this is exciting for sort of our customers that are very engineering focused in terms of their use case. So for example, they're primarily developers or there's an engineering team using it. Now there's a seamless way for engineers to request access and also connect to systems all from within one area. So this is meant to be complementary to our graphical user interface and also complementary to our Slack request interface too. You don't have to choose one. You can use whichever one an individual on your team prefers. So all of these surface areas are simultaneously available to everybody at your company. And so that sort of concludes the piece around our recent highlights. Again, we're really excited to have you sort of opt in to our AI beta. Here we have our request evaluation functionality. We have our scoped admin role summary justification, and that's going to be, or not justification, but description generation, which is what you saw during that demo. And then we're also adding other new AI features like Ask Opal, which is a co-pilot for Risk Center that we're going to be extending to inventory and other surface areas of the product. So there's a lot of AI goodness in this beta, and we strongly encourage all of you to opt in for those of you whose organizations are at a position where you're able to do that. Very cool. So with that, we're going to go into our upcoming releases here. And we're going to start with the Explore page in Risk Center. So this is something I can actually dive in and demo to you, even though it's under construction a little bit, and hopefully it all goes smoothly. So I'm going to dive into our product here. And just as a quick refresher, I'll actually use the demo environment. And just as a quick refresher, you have our Explore graph here where you can look at users and what access they have in your environment. So in this case, I'm visualizing myself. I'm an Okta admin, and that grants me access to the Okta admin console. And then you can see that I have direct access to several other systems in our demo environment, and I can visualize it here. I can also take a look at Shelley as well, and so you can see a side-by-side comparison of our access. Shelley is a lot more active in the demo environment than me. She has a ton of access to resources, and it might be a little bit difficult to parse with the experience that we have today. So what I'll go ahead and do is move over to Risk Center and show you sort of how we've imported these very similar sort of data model and principles of the Explore page into our Risk Center. So in our Risk Center, what we show you at the top is sort of a high-level view of, these are the different vulnerabilities that exist in your environment. We've broken it down by permanent access, unused access, outside access, and irregular access. And then we have additional suggestions for surface areas of the product for you to review. So one of our top recommendations is for a customer in this environment to check out the administrator access for AWS. That's an extremely sensitive system, and it totally makes sense why Opal would be recommending that users who have been granted access outside of your policies might need to be reviewed and looked at. So in this case, I can see our classic list view that we have in Risk Center, but I can also go over to the Explore view here, and I did it by clicking this filtering button, and I can get a quick visual of who are the different types of users that have access to it, and then break down that aggregation by the specific individuals. So if you remember the Explore page that I showed you earlier where it felt really chaotic, we have ways of sort of aggregating the access here in a way that's more focused on sort of grouping things together and showing you the commonalities that exist here. And you can sort of see that across our suggestions here. So, you have Andre with externally granted access. You have an unused sort of view for AWS administrator access, and you can quickly look across roles to see, who doesn't fit in. And we have physics built in, so if as you're investigating, you want to move items around and really just focus on what's left, you can also drag and drop too, which is really nice when you're running an investigation and you want to just sort of, maybe group things together yourself to sort of understand what do I need to review more and what have I sort of wrapped up. And so in this case, you can see who has access, and I can navigate to Nathan, and I can get more information about who he is, what groups does he have access to, what resources, is it really expected that he actually has access to the system or not? And being able to cleanly navigate between these two views is something we've seen be really helpful for customers who are doing an investigation into access. So, if somebody gets breached or, somebody's asking you if they have access to something, this is a really quick and dirty way to just go in and review that. And so the demo that I ran mostly covers the suggestions, which are the pre-built Opal recommendations, but you can also filter it yourself using our classic sort of filters that we have in Risk Center, and those will map here. So you can see Shelley here. Let me clean up the other filters so that this is a little more easy to make sense of. And here you can see Shelley's access nice and spread out. And on top of that, what I could do if I wanted to filter it down even further is I think it should work if I do snowflake roll. This feature is still in development, so I just want to make sure that, oh, no, it would be under asset type. So I just want to make sure that this works. Yep, cool. And so now I've provided a filter view of, Shelley's access was a little chaotic before, but now there's a clean view of, okay, these are all of the snowflake roles that she has access to and how she's granted access. So I can actually see that all of this is direct. There's no groups in the way, which makes it actually really easy to remediate, right? Like if there were any risks directly associated with her relationship to any of these roles, I could quickly clean them up here, knowing that there's no group in the middle that might be causing issues if I were to make a change here. So overall, really excited to release this and help with investigations, not just in Risk Center, but these views are going to be populated throughout our product to give Opal administrators and sort of other stakeholders in your organization that are also involved on the inventory side, really good visibility into what's going on in their environment. So really excited for this to ship. We're expecting this to ship around the week of July 7th. So look forward to it then. And then up next, we have a feature that's pretty constantly in development here at Opal. It's a big focus for us, and it's additional context for approvers and reviewers. And this is a huge focus for us for the next 2 months as we uplevel your organization's ability to decision on access requests and user access reviews alike. So what you might have already noticed in product is, on Hover, you now have a scorecard that you can see, or a hover card rather, that you can see that shows you context around who this person is, who their manager is, what their title is, and is that a common occurrence or are they one of the few people with that access on their team? Over to what you can see here, and let me zoom in on it this way, maybe that'll work. I'll blow it up a little bit so it's easier to see on the video view. But where we're going with this is the ability to also review the history. So if I were to click on Ashisha's view and see more detail, I would then be able to see the history of their approvals. So in this case, we actually clicked on Barrett, who is Ashisha's manager, and we're able to see that Barrett hasn't been approved for this 6 times, and he's actually never been denied access. So if I'm somebody that's deciding whether or not Barrett should have access to this resource, then this is a really clean way to review, has he used this in the past? What decisions have been made in the past? Who else on his team or who else on his direct reports has access to it? All of that context that's necessary to make a decision, we want to wrap up in one clean interface that's easily accessible to the individual at your organization or the group of individuals who are responsible for decisioning on access itself. And so this is something that, this is really just an update on what our next step is, and that's sort of the access history piece. That's coming soon, and that's going to be released on July 1st. So I believe that's just around a week from when this recording is happening. So all this stuff is coming very soon. We're very excited to release it to you. And there's more improvements coming in the future as well, sort of around context and improved approval flows. And so next up, we have Shelley, who can take it away here to speak to our custom connector functionality and the improvements coming there.
Great. Thanks for the handoff. Before I dive into the slide, I kind of just want to paint the picture of what this problem is, what we are trying to solve here. For many of the admins that we have, you've probably run into situations, even end users really, where you have someone requesting access to a resource, but you get an error saying that you can't, or that a particular access path doesn't propagate because you have not yet been provisioned an account in the end system. And so this is especially common for some of our customers who have many non-SCIM or non-SCIM apps or any internal systems that they currently manage our custom connectors. And just for folks who may not be super familiar with our custom connectors, it's a way for you to flexibly integrate any of your end systems with Opal through by implementing an API spec that we provide. So this is a really high level architectural diagram. And so the API spec, just coming to this page really quickly in our docs, you'll see that we've implemented all of these, we surface all of these endpoints to you, and it allows you to do operations like get user, to add a user to a group, add a user to a resource, etc. And so what this feature of what we're shipping in a couple of weeks actually is we're going to be extending this API spec to also include a new endpoint allowing you to post to users. And so effectively, this will allow you to configure Opal such that if a user requests access to an entitlement in a custom end system, Opal will also send your custom connector all the relevant information about this user. It'll include things like the user ID, the various attributes around their email, their name, any tags that they have associated with them, as well as their manager. And so we'll send that information to your custom connector so that you can then create an account in your end system. All of this is really to streamline your access requests and provisioning flows. And so reiterating again on the timeline, we'll be shipping this in the next 2 weeks. For next steps, we do also plan to implement the ability to deprovision accounts in the next quarter. And we'll be looking to extend this capability to native integrations as well. So definitely, if this is a use case that rings true to you, reach out. We'd love to design partner with you on this as well. All right. And another upcoming feature that we have in August is on-prem Active Directory support. If you're currently using our Active Directory integration, you know that we are already able to sort of help you manage access to your sensitive security groups like your security domain, your domain admins, as well as your security admins. And what this enhancement will do is we'll be adding support to make it a first-class IDP integration. So this means that in addition to managing entitlement capabilities, you'll also be able to inventory all of your Active Directory users into Opal, as well as pull in their attributes that the folks in Active Directory may have. And so this way, even if you have a hybrid directory set up between Active Directory and other systems like your Entras, your Oktas, you can view all of those identities under one platform. And so, yes, as much as the industry would like to move off of legacy on-prem systems like Windows Active Directory to newer renditions, we know that in reality, there are still many hybrid deployment models that do involve AD. And so we've seen architecturally, some companies will sync their identities from AD to your Oktas. Sometimes customers will decide to explicitly have AD as a source of truth for one set of their department, whereas they might use Okta or Entra or Google for another set of their departments. And so where Opal really shines is allowing you to kind of centralize across all of these directories. And so this is why we're really keen to support your use cases around having both like a AD as an IDP, as well as having any of your other directories as an IDP. And this will be shipping in August. All right.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shelley. I think, yeah, in terms of what we have upcoming, that's just a small snapshot into what our release looks like. I think it's mostly within the next few couple of weeks. So there's even more coming in July that you can expect, more exciting updates around usability and sort of other new functionality coming. So stay tuned in your Slack channel. You'll see plenty of things that weren't announced here today. But this is just a curated edit by Shelley and I to show off what are we excited about that's coming in the next couple of weeks. And so in around a month or so, we'll have our next product webinar, and we look forward to seeing you all there. And we're excited to get your feedback on these new upcoming releases. So thanks so much for listening.